Hi, welcome to My Kitchen, Her Story, where we celebrate all things female leadership. We aim to inspire, empower, and educate. Today's guest is a very special one. She's a bit of a multitasker. She's an aesthetic physician with over 16 years of experience, an NHS doctor, and a doctor of urgent care. She's a clinical lecturer and an academic. She's the founder and medical director of her own boutique clinic on London's famous Harley Street. In addition to her clinical roles, she's a regional expert of Teoxane, the UK's leading manufacturer for dermal fillers and hyaluronic. She's also a trainer and clinical lead for the country's top aesthetic medicine training organization, Acquisition Aesthetics. Whilst being a busy doctor and a business owner, she is a caring daughter, a proud new mother of a beautiful baby girl. She is a supportive friend and a loving wife. And also, on top of all of that, she's an incredible force in the kitchen. Please meet Dr. Bibi Ghalaie. Hi, Bibi.
Hi, Tamta.
Thank you so much for being here today in my kitchen, in this beautiful Pug and Polo kitchen. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for asking me to be on your podcast.
Yeah.
And then subsequently asking me to cook. And I know you love food because for my last birthday, for my gift, you got me the most beautiful salts, olive oils, truffle oils, olive paste. I was so impressed. You put that box together for me. Clearly it's a mutual love.
What do you get for someone who, you know, has everything she needs to be happy, right? And I think for me, gift giving is a very personal kind of gesture. And everyone who follows you on social media, they know that you're a little bit of a superwoman. You are a doctor, you're an entrepreneur, you are an amazing mother, you are an insane wife, juggling all of that, incredible friend. We have so many mutual friends that can attest to that. And while I open up my Instagram and I'm in bed trying to sleep, and she goes, flip, tadik, crack, crack. And I'm like, she's cooking now. She's like, yeah, 12-hour shift. Gonna just like do a quick dinner for hubby. We'll have a little date. I'm like, okay, putting us all to shame. So that's why I would love for you to let us into your kitchen a little bit too. What are we cooking today?
Okay, so today, as you know, I'm Iranian.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way other than cooking a Persian dish. So we are cooking one of my favorite Persian dishes, which is loobia polo.
Loobia polo.
Which literally translated means green bean rice.
Right.
However, it's not green bean rice. There's meat, there's onions, there's rice, there's green beans, and there are lots of spices, and it's concocted in a way that just makes it insanely delicious. It's one of those wholesome home foods. Like, you know, when you've had a crappy day,
long day,
things are not going your way. This is the dish that just makes it all better.
Yeah.
So it is a labor of love.
Yes.
It usually takes quite a while to prepare, but we're gonna do a speedy version.
Okay, speedy
Gonzalez, let's go. I have my super sous chef to help me, right?
Yes, where's my chef's hat? It was not matching my outfit, so I left it.
All right, my darling.
Amazing. So, tell me what I can get started with. You get cracking, and then we dive into, I would love to hear more about just you to start with, and have the audience hear who you are, how you came, I mean, were you born here? What is your journey up until now?
All right. So we have to dice the onions, and we've got to chop the green beans.
Great, so I'm gonna be crying from the get-go. Sounds good. So do you want the onions? We can
and I'll start doing
like cut this. So do you want the onions in like this and then this?
Yeah, like diced.
Yeah.
Like little squares.
Okay.
Or you can do diamond shapes. I know you like diamonds. You find that easy.
Don't give
little
away
squares,
all
little
my
hearts, whatever you like.
Fine, diamonds it is.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a smaller knife because like this onion, I feel like it's gonna. Amazing. So tell me, what is your story? How did you get started? What's your journey up until now?
So I was born in Tehran.
Right.
I was born in Iran, and I lived there until the age of 3. The Iran-Iraq war was going on, and my parents didn't think that it was safe for us to continue living there. So at some point during my childhood there, I was living in an underground shelter in our house.
Oh my goodness.
Because Tehran was being bombed. So my father decided that my mother should take me and go via Switzerland to the United States, where I had 2 uncles, my mother's brothers, and that I should be raised there, and my dad would join as soon as he could. So I was very attached to my little dummy, my pacifier, and the lady at
was that your comfort kind of object that helped you feel warm and cuddly and safe?
Right. And the very kind lady at Swissair, apparently coaxed by my mother, said, if you give me your pacifier, I will give you a ticket to the United States. And I gave up my pacifier.
What?
So this story...
That's a bit tricky.
Bit of a bribe, yeah?
Bit of a bribe, okay.
Bribing a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
But this story has a special place in my heart because my mother loves Iran and my father loves Iran, and they had all their family there, their siblings. They both come from big families, and they both had a very comfortable life there, but they gave up absolutely everything for my freedom.
Yeah.
And so we moved to the United States, and my brother was born in Texas shortly after, so he's a Texan.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay.
And we've been living abroad ever since. We moved from the United States to the UK when I was 9 years old, and I've been educated in the US and here in England. I did my high school and university here. I went to Imperial College here. Then I went back to the States. I went to Harvard for a while. So, you know, I've had a very multicultural upbringing.
And some might say very privileged in a way, right? To be able to get out of the country when the times are so hard and difficult. And I'm sure a lot of viewers can empathize with that right now in terms of what's happening around the world.
Absolutely.
And we have such a huge immigration going on everywhere.
Absolutely.
Right? And not everyone is able to take their family and move them to a country where they're safe and they can get access to education and they can get, you know, a roof over their head, right? And raise their kids in that way.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that your parents, you know, powered through that and were able to provide you with that future and chance at the future.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, as you say, not everyone has that opportunity, and it's a very special opportunity, and I'm so grateful to them for it. But it also just makes everything that's been happening in Iran so much more poignant for me. When the protests were happening in London, I marched, and I had baby Loriana in my tummy, and it was really important for me that she would be there with me. Yeah. Because, you know, I think actually at the end of the day, one of the most important things in a woman's life is her independence. And part of independence is freedom. Freedom to make choices about where you live, about who you love, where you study, what job you want to do, how you live your life. And independence is not just financial independence, it's freedom of choice.
Absolutely.
And if my parents hadn't made that sacrifice, I wouldn't have that right now.
And I can so empathize with that, but also I come from Georgia, right? Which is not far from Iran
at all.
And I remember when I was a child growing up seeing tanks on the streets of Tbilisi, which is the capital. Right. Where, you know, there was, you know, right post-Soviet kind of times. It was quite unsafe growing up there. And we had the whole political turmoil, and we still do. Right. In that part of the world, it's just, we just like never seem to get a break. But it was 2008 when actually the bombing happened. And I was in the car driving to the Black Sea with my family because that was the safest area to be in because we bordered Turkey. Therefore, you know, it was the safest geographically, but we could hear bombs out of the window.
Oh my goodness. Which must have been terrifying.
Which was terrifying, but I think for me, it was a lot of it that I was with my baby sister, with my little brother and my parents, and I don't think it registered for them as much. And then for me, it was a lot of like protectiveness over them and not showing them that I'm scared.
Which you still are, aren't you?
I do have that. Yeah, I've been actually working on myself to also let others be protective over me rather than me being the protector at all times. But I think it's part of our culture as well. We're very warm and caring, and family means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Right?
As it should.
Yeah, definitely. Amazing. So I didn't mean to hijack the whole story, but I just wanted to share that, yeah, definitely. It's one of those experiences that really shapes you as a person.
Well, but maybe this is it. Maybe this is, it's part of the key to why certain women end up achieving what they do, is because I think the path to success involves hardship.
Yeah. Yeah, but it also grows a thick skin.
Yeah.
Right? And it makes you resilient, makes you be a very fast problem solver.
Yeah.
And decision maker.
Yeah.
Right? And you are naturally operating very effectively and efficiently under pressure and stressful environment, because we've been kind of raised in that environment.
Yeah.
So it becomes like a second nature.
Which, interestingly, are a lot of the qualities that are sought in a doctor.
Right.
You need to think laterally, you need to think on your feet, you need to think fast.
Yeah.
You need to be able to delegate, you need to be able to perform under pressure, and you need to be able to have a really thick skin, especially in this country, in our NHS, where doctors are often abused, and you can't let it get to you.
But what sort of abuse are we talking about in terms of by patients? I know that doctors are incredibly overwhelmed in this country, and I'm so thankful that we are in the country where we do get access to medical care. But what kind of abuse are we talking?
Do you know, unfortunately, I think here in the UK, I'm incredibly defensive of the NHS. As you know, I've worked for the NHS for nearly 17 years now. But doctors get abused not just by the system. It's not the NHS, but it's the way the system is structured, and a lot of it is the government. But also sometimes by patients, unfortunately. And I think it's not because they don't respect us as individuals. It's because there's a certain frustration with not being able to get what they need. And that's
fast enough.
And fast enough. It's
We've
often
all
to do
been there,
with speed.
right? It could be very frustrating.
This is the thing. The NHS is actually compiled of really amazing clinicians, and it's such a mammoth machine.
Yeah.
But all the cogs are perfect cogs. But the problem is they sometimes can't work perfectly together because they haven't been oiled the right way, and there isn't the right funding, and there isn't the right resource provision. So I have been abused by patients. I've been abused by colleagues in the NHS.
No way.
But those things, as you say, have given me resilience and have given me that thick skin that I needed to plow through. Otherwise, it's very easy for a female in any hierarchical organization to feel that she is the subject of some sort of vulnerability, and that vulnerability can really push you out if you let it.
So how do you deal with it? Because I've come across so many female entrepreneurs who have absolutely mind-blowing stories around male colleagues, female colleagues, just colleagues, clients, where there is a lot of inappropriate behavior, a lot of abuse, a lot of subtle abuse. There is bias. I mean, it's so complex.
Yeah.
And then more so, I think it's very complex because we're just humans. We are complex human beings, right? And I do believe that everyone has a story and everyone has a reason, whether it's acceptable reasoning for you or me, it doesn't matter. But if we could spend time to understand why they do what they're doing, I'm sure we could get to the source of that, maybe a decade-old trauma or certain experience that shaped them into an aggressor or a supporter or the type of person they are today, just like us, right? So, but there's always been this mix of where do you draw a line and where are you political? And a lot of the times I had to battle with that, right? I was in tech industry most of my career, big tech, and we're talking about established, large tech organizations, world famous, where sometimes you are told to just don't say anything, put your head down, work through,
Yeah.
and be political.
Yeah.
And me being Georgian,
That was a no.
emotions up and down, running wild.
Yeah.
And being political was never my strong suit.
Yeah.
What would you advise women in those situations? And maybe like an example of how you navigated with a colleague where you had that kind of like a pickle,
Yeah.
where you really had to kind of cool your head down and say, you know what, I'm going to pick my battles, or this is the course of action I'm going to take next.
Yeah. It's an interesting question, and I think you're right. It's something that a lot of women come into encounter in their work places. So I will tell you a story about something that happened to me, which I think helped shape some of my career. I was a surgeon early on in my career, and I was heading down a surgical path. I wanted to become a breast surgeon to undertake mastectomies for breast cancer and reconstruction of the breast. So that's the path I was on. And I was working on a team with a brilliant breast surgeon. And he was due to train me up to consultant level. But I had a registrar. So in medicine, you have different hierarchies of doctor, and
Right.
registrar is one level below consultant level, which is the highest level.
Right.
And this registrar was just ridiculously harsh on me. He was British, upper class, wore a bow tie to work.
Oh, wow.
Ridiculously harsh on
Talking
me.
about overdressed.
So, he would turn up in the mornings, and one of our things was to go round and do a ward round, see patient by patient, and I would, tell him the blood results, tell him what happened overnight, and then we would decide what to do. Now, this man expected me to have memorized the blood test results of over 40 patients. Like, their sodium is this, their potassium is this, their hemoglobin is this.
Because?
For no reason. I mean, it's ridiculous, that expectation. So I'd have them printed out, but no, you have to memorize them. And then would ask me really difficult questions and would humiliate me in front of the rest of the team and in front of the patient. And this was going on for months.
Was this your specific experience with this doctor, or was he treating everyone like that?
I think he treated certain females this way. And
It
also,
was female specific.
surgery is historically a boys' club. You know, it's very male, was very male dominated, less so now. And this kind of thing was tolerated 15 years ago, and it was just, that's the way it is. You just deal with it as a woman,
Right?
You know. So one day we were operating together, and we were doing a double mastectomy. So a female patient had breast cancer. We had to remove both of the breasts, and we had removed the breasts, and we were just closing the wounds.
Right.
And because she had spread to her lymph nodes, which were in the underarms, she had a cut here, cut across the breast, same thing on the other side. So this colleague of mine was operating on one side, and I was operating on the other side. Now, bear in mind, we're in an operating theater. There's nurses, there's anesthetists, there's the theater assistants. There's, at least 12 people, at least a dozen people in this room, and me and him. We're gloved, we're gowned, and you can't touch anything. You can't wipe your face. It's a sterile environment. Thank you. So he said to me, Bibi, you close that side, I'm going to close this side. So I'm suturing away, and as I look over, I see that he's closing the underarm wound, but there's a piece of sterile gauze inside. There's gauze inside the wound, and he's closing it.
Oh my God.
So I won't mention his name, but I said to him, excuse me, and he ignored me, and I said his name again, and he ignored me again. And so I just stopped what I was doing, and I said his name again for the third time. So he's operating, so he looked up at me like this, and he said, what is it? In a really kind of patronizing way. And I said to him really quietly, there's a piece of gauze inside that wound. And he just looked at me. And he said, no, there isn't. And I said, yes, there is. And everyone all 12 people were staring at us. And if he had done that, the patient would have become septic, because that would have got infected, and it would have been an absolute disaster. So, he's holding his scalpel and his scissors. So he drops it like this on the patient's drape, and he looked at me and he said, if I open this wound up
and there's
no gauze, you will never work in this hospital again.
Oh my God. I'm getting scared just like listening.
I mean, I was about to cry. My eyes were welling up, and the only thing I was thinking was, don't let your tears fall into the patient. I was so scared. I was trembling. Anyway, he opened up the wound. Out comes this huge piece of gauze.
Wow.
And what does he do? He looked at me and he goes, okay, Miss Smarty Pants, finish it yourself. And he dropped it on there and walked out. And he just left me there. I had been a doctor for 3 years. And he just left me there and walked out by myself.
He just couldn't deal with the fact that he was wrong.
He was so angry and so shocked that I had challenged him, that he wanted to humiliate me, and he did humiliate me. So he walked out, and I didn't feel confident finishing the surgery by myself. And in fact, he'd put the patient at risk because he'd left a junior to do it by himself.
I mean, how is that not even...
It's unsafe.
But how is that legal? Is that the right word?
Absolutely not.
Because you're not allowed to, just walk out of the surgery like that.
No, but he was, he had a real, ego problem. So anyway, I was very upset that day, and I went home crying. And actually, I called up a friend and told them what happened. And they said, you need to report him. You need to confront him. I went home and I told my mother.
Right.
What did my mother do? If you don't tell him, and if you don't report him, I am going to do it myself. I will kill him. And I was like, oh my God, my mother's gonna actually come. She is gonna actually kill this man. So she was like, listen, you sort it out before I sort it out. And I knew she would. So what happened the next day, I texted him.
Yeah.
Are we gonna fry the onions?
Yes, let's do it. I'm kind of crying, but I'm also like getting very emotional from the story too. So I don't know which one it is. So the onions are diced.
Yeah, we can pop the onions in there.
Yes, and then do we want the rice out?
Yeah. We should have actually soaked the rice, so we can pretend we soaked the rice already. Should we do that now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Should I wash it and then while
wash it a few times?
Yeah. Perfect.
And do you want me to start cooking the onions then?
Yes, and then please tell me what happened.
So
did your mom report him? Or did you?
The next day, I actually I messaged him and I said to him, look, we need to have a chat.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't have time. What is it that you want to talk about? And I said, I need to talk to you. It's very urgent. So he finally agreed. It wasn't easy to get him to come and talk to me. And I decided to talk to him in the hospital. So I didn't feel comfortable speaking to him. I thought it's neutral territory. We can speak here.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to grab a spoon. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we met to speak in the corridor. And I said to him, why is it that you treat me like this? Why are you so harsh on me? Right? What is it that I'm doing wrong? And yesterday I was right and you humiliated me. And he reacted really badly, Tamta. He really reacted badly.
What do you mean badly?
So he unfortunately decided to push me up against a wall and put his hands around my throat.
What?
Yeah, in the middle of the hospital. And said, you're not going to behave like this. You're not going to challenge me in front of the rest of the team.
How is this even possible?
What's crazy is that nowadays, if this happened, he would have been in so much trouble. But back then, as I say, this kind of behavior, this is 15 years ago. This was tolerated.
Yeah. This was 15 years ago, but still, it's still so relevant and prevalent in so many organizations, but also so many countries.
Yeah.
We are in the UK right now, we're in London, and we have, fortunately, we are on this journey of changing things and developing in a way that women have more say, women have more rights. We also know that we do. So we can actually do something about it when things like this happen.
Yeah.
But what was even going through your mind?
I was really upset. I wanted to quit. I'd had enough.
I don't blame you.
And I told my mother what happened that day, and she was like, she was really concerned. She was concerned for my safety.
Oh, absolutely. And
she said, look, you need to go to the HR department in the hospital. You need to speak to them. You need to report this man.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I don't want to do that. Maybe there's something wrong with this guy. There's no way he's treating me like this just because it's me.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with him.
Yeah.
And at least I had, although I was very naive, I was a doctor when I was 22, but at least I had some sort of understanding of human nature to be able to identify that I wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
So I texted him and I said, listen, I'm really upset about what you did today and I'm going to report you to HR.
Uh-huh.
The next morning when he came into work, he took me aside and he went and bought me a coffee and we sat down. He cried his eyes out. He apologized to me and he said to me, "It will never happen again. Please forgive me." He said, "You're a really good doctor. You're a very good surgeon. I'm going to train you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to help you." And he started telling me what was going through his life.
Interesting.
And his wife was having an affair and she had run off with his best friend and they had a 6-month-old baby and he had a lot of issues going on at home.
And also clearly he had a lot of anger towards women because
Probably.
of what was happening with his wife, and he was associating women with his wife and therefore with her affair maybe.
You know
there
what?
was no excuse.
You're probably right.
But if I am kind of thinking about it and trying to kind of analyze it more or less in a way that why would he be so violent against someone who is his colleague, professional respects, but also has done nothing wrong, that's what I would go.
Yeah. But the crazy part of this story is that we ended up becoming very good friends and colleagues.
No
and
way.
He taught me a lot.
Wow.
And he was a good surgeon. And this encounter propelled me forward. It pushed me. And it gave me a lot of strength in a situation that could have actually broken me.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of situations that women are facing. And this is, by the way, not really the show where we just bash men and how bad men are great. But it's more about real life situations and the things that there's tricky and peculiar circumstances that we have to deal with and navigate through.
Yeah.
And some of them end up, you know, with a tough start, rocky start, but then actually result in the amazing, successful career you have and a friendship in your case, but then others don't.
Yeah.
Right? So just to finish up, I guess like on that story too, but thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, this is extremely personal. If there was one thing that you would tell women currently who are watching you and maybe going through something similar, what is it that you would tell them?
I would say have the confidence to stand up to what's happening. Because 9 times out of 10, when you're faced with animosity in the workplace, it comes from a source of insecurity from the other side. So we have...
Where are we now?
Okay, we fried the onions.
It smells so good.
I fried the onions with turmeric and salt and pepper.
Turmeric, salt, pepper,
and
onions.
then I marinated the meat with turmeric and salt and pepper. I would normally put some garlic. And we're going to add our magic ingredient, which you got for me in a beautiful Iranian container.
Should I get it now?
Yes, please.
Woo. Okay.
So I'm just frying the beef mince. Meat? I'm frying the meat.
Are you frying the meat? We have the gold dust here.
Yes. Look how beautiful this is, guys. Look how she brought it for me. And it's a combination of the beans and your top in terms of the colors.
It is, right? Not planned at all. No.
Seriously, you didn't plan that?
I know, right? I mean, I wish I was that organized. I mean, no bad though. If I can only open this, that would be really helpful. Someone with a muscle help.
With a muscle, not many muscles, just
I'm an
one.
immigrant, okay? I speak 4 languages fluently, so don't come at me. I cannot open it. I cannot. Oh! Those guns are working. So tell me, how did we then end up? Why did you choose that specific direction that you're in now, the aesthetics?
I wanted, as part of my surgery application, like I said, I wanted to become a surgeon. I wanted to show that I was good with my hands. So in 2005, I went on a course for Botox and fillers. Now, that had just been introduced to the UK. It was brand new.
Right. Is that the Teoxane that we...
No. I just wanted to, just a one-day course on how to inject, how to inject Botox, how to inject fillers.
Right.
When it was new to the market, when it was still a little bit taboo and not that many people were having treatments yet.
Yeah.
And the organization that I trained with, which is also actually owned by a very famous female entrepreneur, within 2 months of me training for them, asked me to be one of their lecturers. And I was like, this is crazy. How can I start lecturing for you when I've just learned? She's like, you have so much potential.
You're natural.
You're a good teacher. I can see that you're an academic. Come start lecturing for us. So I did. And within a couple of years, a plastic surgery colleague approached me. He's one of the top plastic surgeons in the country now. And he said to me, Bibi, let's set up a training course together. Let's teach other doctors and dentists how to do cosmetic procedures, non-invasive cosmetic procedures. And you be the course lead. And we approached a very prestigious organization, the Royal College of General Practitioners. And initially they kind of laughed at us. We're a bit hesitant, you know, why would we?
Is it because of the young team, lack of experience in that area, or what was it?
I think it wasn't a well-respected branch of medicine. And it wasn't a particularly popular branch of medicine at that point. It was a new branch of medicine. It's not exactly surgery, it's not exactly...
And was it more kind of looked at as superficial?
Yes.
Not a medicine, it's more a makeup. That you put that's a little bit more permanent.
It was more superficial. It wasn't, I think, regarded in the same way, for example, as neurology was or as accident and emergency was. But the crazy thing is I was working in accident and emergency. So I felt like, you know, I have the substance, I have the background, I have the medical knowledge, but I want to teach doctors how to do these procedures. So we launched the course. Within 6 months, we had a waiting list. The course sold out. We were getting feedback. It was like 5 out of 5 star feedback consistently. And then doctors were flying in from all over the world to train with me. And within a year, we decided to branch out to an even more prestigious organization, the Royal Society of Medicine, move the course there. We launched the course there. So I was running it at 2 sites. And within a couple of years, I trained over 3,500 doctors.
That's incredible.
And I was training consultant ophthalmologists, consultant plastic surgeons, I was training dentists, I was training GPs, I was training all sorts of different kinds of medics. And the course was really, really successful. From there, Acquisition Aesthetics, which is the top training provider in the country, approached me and asked me to be a clinical lead for them. I set up a skincare course with them that's in conjunction with Lumiere MD, which is one of the top skincare brands in the world. It's a Canadian brand and it focuses on clean chemistry. So it's medical grade effective skincare, but mainly plant-based ingredients that are evidence-based. So a phenomenal skincare brand. So then I launched a course with Acquisition and with Lumiere to combine. And then, you know, because I was teaching all these places, at all these places, and there were constantly models coming that we had to practice on. The models were saying to me, well, where do we come and see you if we want you to treat us? And I was like,
we want the first-hand experience.
So actually, one of the people that came on my course as a student already had a clinic on Harley Street. And he said to me, Bibi, I would love for you to come and set up a department, an aesthetic medicine department. You run it, you be in charge of it. And his patient demographic, he was a dentist, was mainly Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. So I was being exposed to a whole new anatomy. They have a very different aesthetic. They have a very different morphology in their face. And this was a huge challenge for me. And you know,
but you grew immensely from that, I would imagine.
So I became medical director there, and that's where I launched my clinical practice. I was there for a few years, and then that was the natural progression. I then moved to another practice, was medical director there for a few years, and I hit another obstacle. I had a very corrupt business partner.
I just remember that you were stressed about it, and it was just a very... By the way, how's my growing?
Oh my God! High five. Not one muscle, that's 10 muscles. You see that?
It's very... They can't probably pick it up, but it's rolling up.
Poudre en poudre.
Whatever she said.
I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I'll be your sous chef any day.
So, we're going to put a little bit of this into the meat.
Oh, let me actually give you a little spoon. Dun, dun, dun.
And we're going to add the beans now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. And should we get the rice going?
Yeah.
So that it can cook away. How long does the rice take?
The rice takes about initially 10 minutes. You need boiling water in it, and then it'll take another 20 minutes or so.
Okay, okay. Can we talk a little bit about your journey in the private life, really? Because
Sure.
a lot of us, well, I don't have a family and I don't have a child. However, I know a lot of women who do, and they really struggle to juggle it all, right?
Yeah.
But also, did you always know that you wanted a baby?
Oh my God, always.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I would have sacrificed everything, even my career, for Loriana if I couldn't have had her. And I nearly did have to.
Interesting. Why is that?
So this is something very personal, but I'm happy to share it. Cyrus and I struggled to conceive. We didn't struggle to conceive. We got pregnant very easily, but we had multiple miscarriages.
Oh,
we actually
I'm so
had
sorry.
7 miscarriages.
Oh my God.
So, which is quite a difficult thing to go through even once, let alone 7 times. And unfortunately, in this country, you don't get much help till you've gone through it 3 times, which I think is astounding because just once is so hard.
So wait, they keep track in terms of how many times you went through miscarriages, and only after the 3rd time they give you what?
You start getting investigations to figure out why.
And before then, that's just considered normal.
It's considered like bad luck, for example, or just chance. I mean,
Wow.
it's very common. 1 in 3 pregnancies end in miscarriage.
That's a really high stat.
It really is. And I think actually infertility is becoming more and more prevalent these days. And, you know, I see around 20 women a day in my clinic, and I think at least 3 of them every day are either having egg collection, or they're having IVF, or they're having some sort of fertility treatment. It's very commonplace now. And I don't know if it's just the way that we're developing genetically, or is it our diet, but something is making it harder for us to reproduce as a race.
Yeah. There are so many different opinions, and research is being done around that. And whether it's an environment, whether it's what we eat, what we breathe, you know, all of that, how we evolved biologically. So
unfortunately, I mean, I didn't wait around to kind of get all the help I needed on the NHS. I was going to actually feed you some, see what you think. So this is one piece of advice my husband gave me. My mother gives me all my recipes. She's the source of the recipes. But my husband gave me a good piece of advice, which is to taste your food as you go along.
We do that in Georgia too. And we also don't measure.
Yeah.
It's like genie in the
we
bottle.
Don't measure.
Let's just like throw a little bit of that, and then hope for the best, and then you taste, and then you adjust.
So how is it?
This is so delicious. Would you add anything?
Yeah, need salt.
Salt? Yeah?
Yeah, let's add some salt.
Amazing. We have also like a finer salt if you prefer that. I don't know, is there a difference?
Should we... I'm gonna try it again in a minute.
Yeah? There you go. So, you went through this whole infertility journey, and really, really tough one. How did that impact your relationship?
Oh, in a massive way. It was financially very straining.
Right.
You know, when you have a miscarriage, you are unwell for quite a few weeks, and the actual process of the miscarriage takes about 6 weeks to finish. And during that time, you're emotionally and physically a wreck. You can't be intimate with your partner. So, you know, we went through, it was governing our lives, because I was either having a miscarriage or trying to get pregnant again, or then miscarrying again, then trying to get over the miscarriage again, to then try again.
And what is that period, the optimal period in between trying to conceive again and the last miscarriage?
So you're kind of supposed to wait a cycle. So like, for example, if you have a miscarriage, then you wait for another period, and then you can try again.
Okay. Okay, so just
but, I mean, you may not feel ready to do that. You may not feel emotionally ready to try after just one cycle.
Yeah,
so absolutely. It really just depends.
To put yourself out there and to really potentially go through a potential same outcome in the journey again, that's really daunting.
Yeah, and also I think people underestimate the emotional impact that having a miscarriage places on women. It's really hard to just bounce back. You can't just bounce back.
Absolutely.
Do you want to try this?
I do.
Let me know what you think.
I'm gonna like put it in here. I mean, we're double dipping, but okay, whatever. Oh my god, much better. Oh my god.
It's good? Mm-hmm. What does it need? Should I have a taste?
I don't know, it's perfect.
Let me try. I suspect it needs something.
Maybe black pepper?
Black pepper?
Maybe. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just telling you that because you're asking me. I'm making it up. But salt really brought out the flavor.
Yeah.
Black pepper a little
I'll
bit,
add a tiny bit, yeah.
Yeah. How are we doing with rice?
I think it's ready to turn over. Get rid of the water.
Okay.
Drain it?
Yeah. So we put oil and saffron in there.
Your favorite part. This is the tahdig.
Tahdig.
Oil, saffron, and a tiny bit of boiling water.
Okay.
Okay. And give it a swirl.
So we're pressing down the first layer.
Yeah, like this.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do, so that's the rice. This
Yeah.
rice is al dente.
Yeah.
And we're basically patting down this layer that's gonna form the tahdig. And now this is the defining moment. We're gonna layer this mixture of
Oh, no
meat
way.
and green
okay,
beans
we're actually
and
putting it.
onions.
That's why you were like, this pot is really small. I'm like, okay, I get it. We can also then put it around it too.
There you
once
go.
we're ready. Okay, so
We're making all this mess, and then we're making this little boutique loobia
Okay,
polo
we
in a
like it. We
in a
like a
petite
boutique.
Tamta style pot.
Yes, I mean, gotta keep it in style, you
This
know?
is not how Iranians cook. Our pot is this big.
I know.
But this is
For
the
the next
elegant
one.
Chelsea Tamta pot. So we've got 2 layers in there already.
Yeah. And then I know that you guys sometimes then go make holes.
Yeah,
Is that a thing? To like, for the air to escape?
exactly.
Okay, see? Not totally clueless.
I'm gonna try and get a last layer in there.
Perfect.
Okay, we can switch that one.
Amazing. Tell me a little bit more on some of the initiatives that you're doing in your clinic, some of the brands you're partnering with, and how that is going, because I know you have some really amazing initiatives going on.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So my clinic, it's an aesthetic medicine clinic. My focus is on injectables. My focus is on medical grade skincare, on chemical peels, and on the aesthetic of the woman as a whole, but also on a holistic approach. So I like to optimize skin health. I like to advise on vitamins and minerals, on certain dietary measures. And it's really just taking into account the female as a persona, but also her life, her role in life. Is she a mom? Is she a businesswoman? Is she both? What is she? Who is she? And so I'm very selective about the treatments that I introduce. All the treatments that I have need to be evidence-based. They need to be effective. I need to know that I'm going to get excellent results. I have a very high retainer rate in my clinic and an incredibly low complication rate. And I want to keep it like that. I
Right.
want my patients to be satisfied, to look their best, to feel their best. And I don't want them to be upset about anything from the beginning of the process to the end.
Yeah.
That's how I like to keep
I've
things.
been your patient.
You have indeed.
She's like the most patient person because I can be dramatic. I'm Georgian. I mean, sorry to Georgian people, but we have a lot of feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
But it was one of the most amazing experiences, but also the products you're using are incredible. Who do you work with? Who do you partner with?
So the fillers that I use in clinic, the dermal fillers, are by Teoxane.
Okay.
Teoxane is Swiss. Their fillers are manufactured in Geneva. They are the best in the world. They're not on a par with any other brand. They're the leading manufacturer in the United Kingdom. They are #1 here. And structurally, molecularly, their fillers are superior to all the other brands. They're incredibly natural. They integrate into the dynamic areas of the face seamlessly. So what you want is you want a filler that when you smile, when you laugh, when you kiss, when you articulate, you can't tell the difference between the patient's face and the filler.
Right.
Plus their longevity is excellent and their complication rate is very low. I'm very fortunate that I sit on their UK faculty. So I'm a regional expert for them. I educate for them. I'm very proud of that role. And I generally, whatever product I'm using, whatever treatment I introduced, I'm a great believer in that brand, in that product. Otherwise, I won't introduce it because my patients are very vulnerable and very sensitive to what I say and what I think and my opinions.
Yeah, you're the expert, right?
Well,
they have that ultimate trust when they come to
and
you,
that's
so
it.
you feel that responsibility.
Yeah. And when someone's placing trust in you, you can't just go and sell them a product because you're being paid to or because you have an affiliation with that company. So I try and test everything on myself, and I do that for a significant period of time before I introduce it into the clinic. One of the skincare brands that I work with and that I'm developing a relationship with at the moment is Lumiere. They focus very much on clean chemistry. So they have certain actives like retinol and vitamin C, but the rest of their products are plant-based, highly efficacious, evidence-based ingredients from our surroundings, from our natural habitat that they've incorporated into skincare to obtain visible, measurable results. Anti-aging, fine lines, improving texture, pigmentation, rosacea.
But a question with these partnerships, because I speak to a lot of women who are launching their business, have their own business, and they're always looking for strategic partnerships. And it's no small job to secure those, but also build those relationships and bring them on board.
Yeah.
So if you look at it less as a doctor or a esthetician, but more as a businesswoman, what are 2-3 things that you think that's really important to secure the business critical strategic partnerships that you want with select few organizations?
So I think knowledge and experience are key. I think the second thing is credibility. Credibility and trust.
Does that come with a track record?
Of course, and that takes, I think with anything in life, trust comes with time, and trust can easily be broken, and trust needs to be built, and that takes it takes effort. It's usually a slow progression. It's not easy to gain a patient's trust. And by doing that, I mean, in medicine, once you have your patient's trust, it's a very delicate relationship because it can easily be broken. And also, whatever, as I say, for example, if I put up a post tomorrow and I'm recommending a certain skincare product, I know that a certain percentage of my following will go and buy it. So I have to be very careful what I say and what I promote. And I get sent a lot of things. Every week I'll have around 15 packages sent to me. Beautiful brands, beautiful skincare, but I won't put everything up because I can't take that risk. I need to try it. I need to look into the ingredients. I need to see what the evidence base is. I want to look at the research. I'm very careful about what I advocate to my patients because they have that relationship with me and I don't want to abuse it. And then the third thing is I think people need to be personable. You could be a genius and you could have the trust of a lot of people, but if you're not personable, it's difficult to secure that kind of a strategic alliance with any brand.
The last question before we can dig into that dish, because I'm dying for it. What is the single advice you would give her who is watching you, who wants to make that jump and launch their own business and maybe leave corporate or a specific job that she has in and really pursue her passion, what she really believes in? Just one word of advice, I guess.
I know you asked me this a few days ago, and I actually have 3 pieces of advice because I've thought about it.
Christmas came early? Yeah.
So my first piece of advice is believe in yourself. Self-belief is incredibly important, I think, for any path of progression. The second piece of advice I would say is to have focused goals and not have too many. 1 or 2 very specific, defined, focused goals. And the third piece of advice, and I say this because there's a proverb that defines a lot of how I function in life, and I'm going to tell you what the proverb is.
Okay.
It's a Persian proverb. قطره قطره
قطره قطره
جمع شود.
جمع شود.
وانگهی
وانگهی
دریا شود.
دریا شود.
Drop by drop, an ocean will form.
Right.
Okay, hard work. And I think there's no magic answer, but if you work hard and consistently, my father taught me hard work never goes unrewarded.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Woo, this was amazing. But I have something for you.
Oh, yeah?
A little something to just say thank you for being on the show.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I'm gonna go now. I get it.
See how this is doing. Oh my gosh!
Because every woman deserves a bouquet of
That's
flowers.
so sweet. I love the color.
They're pink.
They're so sweet.
Thank you so much.
Really
We
kind.
have
Thank you.
We have partnered up with Flower Box.
Which is an amazing brand.
I know, they're my favorite, and they always have the freshest, the most beautiful flowers.
Yeah.
So they really wanted to be part of this initiative and really support female entrepreneurs
That's
and
amazing.
leaders. And we just wanted to brighten up your day and also
you.
say thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
think we all deserve beautiful bouquet
Thank
of
you.
flowers.
That's really kind. And what a beautiful color.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yes, we have beautiful pink roses. Thank you so much.
Tamta. Thank you, darling.
So there's one initiative that I wanted to ask you about that's really close to your heart and very high impact. I don't want to butcher the name, so can you just tell me what the initiative is
Yes.
and what it is about, how it started and why?
So it's the Dr. Bibi Cleft Lip Initiative. So it's a philanthropic venture that I have at the clinic that I launched nearly 2 years ago.
What's a cleft lip?
A cleft lip is a lip deformity that often is associated with a palate deformity. So the palate is the roof of the mouth, and it's a genetic deformity. Children are born with it. It's a congenital malformation. So
Right.
it's something that children are born with when they're born, and the lip and the palate are often not fused together. So there's a deficiency here in the middle. And it can result in a lot of problems, secondary problems like difficulty eating, difficulty speaking, difficulty swallowing, difficulty breathing even. And often the patients affected by it have multiple surgeries, like between 10 to 30 operations
Oh wow!
to correct everything.
It's I've never heard of this condition before I even saw it on your page and before you launched your initiative. So it's not that widely spoken about. However, it can be then really impactful to the quality of life, but also very heavy on
Absolutely.
treating it.
So most of these patients, they have their lip and their palate repaired at birth, and then they have other operations throughout. But often the aesthetic of the lip is ignored, and then they spend their life with a scarred, deformed, asymmetrical lip, and it often really affects their confidence, their ability to have relationships, their ability to function socially, and there are no options for treatment on the NHS. So I started an initiative where I treat these patients. The entire process from the consultation to the treatment to the follow-up is complimentary. I see patients every week. It started off pretty slow, but it's picked up really, really well. It's been advertised in Hello magazine, and I now have a waiting list of 6 months.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's one of the ventures that I launched to do some good through the clinic and to give back to my patients and to
I love that.
people in the UK. But we have patients coming from abroad now as well. So that's my initiative.
That's incredible, and the results look absolutely amazing, and I'm sure it's so life-changing for those patients. And for a lot of them, it's not even, the functionality of it and function of it, restoring that, but also the confidence.
That's exactly it.
Right? Yeah. And it can impact you so much in your life.
It's self-esteem and confidence.
Right.
And a lot of them, you'll see on my social media, they have a very emotional response to the treatment. And then you see a lot of their inner worries and their insecurities coming out. So it is life-changing for them. And it's also, for me, just something that I can do. So I think it's very easy in the world of aesthetics to get lost in climbing the ladder and in being successful. And it's important, I think, to just think about what you can do. It's a little bit different to
that
mainstream.
grounds you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And gives you that feeling of reward.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm so sure that there are so many people out there who are thankful to you for this initiative.
Thank you.
Okay, the moment of truth. we're gonna see how we did with our dish. Loobia polo. Let's do it. So, tell me, walk me through. We're gonna put it on this beautiful
Okay, so let's switch
hand-painted
off
dish.
the heat.
Yes.
If it comes out terrible, it's
We're
my
not
fault.
gonna tell you, basically. We'll eat it anyway.
All right, so you put your beautiful Hermes leopard print
Leopard
dish
print, okay.
on top,
Yes.
and then holding this very firm, you have to flip.
Oh God. Please don't. Okay.
Count of 3. 1,
Oh, this is nerve-wracking.
2,
Ah!
3.
Okay, okay.
Excellent.
Now.
Okay, now you slowly can bring it down.
Oh my God.
Oh my God! Are you ready for the flick? Ready for the flick? Ready?
That crackle! Oh my God!
Yeah, it came out perfect.
This looks so good. Cheers.
Cheers. That's good.
Oh my God. This is delicious.